Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us this Tuesday afternoon. My name is Deepak Joseph, and I work at Indeed.com. My job at Indeed, in fact, everyone who works at Indeed has one main job to do, which is to make it easier for job seekers to find their next job. The last few months have been tough for many people for different reasons, from not being able to travel or to go out and meet your loved ones, or to not even being able to go to office and work with your colleagues every day. It's been tough. It's been harder still for people looking for jobs during this period. And we hope that through this online hiring week initiative and other initiatives that we're working on, we are able to connect you with leading companies who are actively hiring in India right now. On that note, I'm very, very excited to welcome and introduce Ms. Kavita Kurup, Global Head of Talent and Organizational Transformation at UST Global. Kavita is the key person responsible for the design of UST's global talent architecture, as well as in managing the talent development at UST Global, overseeing the career and performance management, total rewards, employee engagement and development, and also in the building of the learning and employee experience programs at UST Global. Kavita, that's a very, very vast portfolio. I'm sure it must be very, very busy days at UST. So I just want to start by saying, a very sincere thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Deepak. It's a pleasure being here.
Just a quick introduction about UST Global. UST Global has operations in over 25 countries. They are a technology catalyst dedicated to transforming businesses, communities, and the people living within them. UST is pioneering future-ready digital transformations, and they are building the future of how several industries will operate. Sounds truly fascinating, be it banking segments, finance, healthcare, retail, manufacturing, and a lot more industries. To all of our viewers joining us today, please do share your questions that you would like to ask us in the comment sections, and we'll make sure to take as many as time permits. So without further ado, I'll jump right into it. Kavita, the first question that I would like to talk about is about the work-life culture at UST Global. The one thing that we've realized and we've heard a lot of from a lot of people is about the importance of working for a company, for a place where they really feel like they're doing some of their life's best work. What would you like to share with our viewers in terms of all the cool things about UST Global that they should know about?
Uh, Thanks, Deepak. It's a lovely start for the conversation today, work-life culture and all the things that we like to know we are cool for. So I think if you look at it, right, it's three main things that really stand out from a UST perspective. One is a very passionate employee base, right? Our employees are very, very passionate about what they do, and a lot of them have been around from the start, right? So we started out 20 years ago in a rented conference room in Trivandrum in Kerala, and today we are in 25 countries and hiring thousands and thousands of people. We are a $1 billion company. The entrepreneurial spirit, I think that's evident in everything that we do, the innovativeness that we bring, the fact that anyone in the organization can come up with ideas, think about what is it that they can bring to the table, and we'll be more than glad to anchor that, support that, and take it to the larger audience, whether it's within our clients or help them seed it and create an organization of their own, if you will. And I think the most important part is recognition for your contribution. Each employee is valued for what they bring in. So for us, some things are very, very important. Our purpose. So the purpose of UST Global is transforming lives. And you mentioned that very briefly in your introduction of the company as well. So we focus on transforming lives of our employees, of our clients, and of the society at large. And everybody who joins UST believes very firmly in that purpose. Our values, we have a very strong value system: humility, humanity, and integrity. And each one of them speak very closely with each other. And this value system is what really helps drive our work life culture and the culture within UST. We look at the value system to help us decide who stays within the company and who decides to move on to other organization, because it's so deeply enrooted. So you either, it's black or white, right? You either buy in with that entire concept of humility, humanity, integrity, and transforming lives, or you don't. And if you do, then you stick on and you really paint a much larger picture. Let me give you some examples of how we manage the entire work life culture at UST, right? So a program that we are very, very proud of is this completely ingrown program called Colors. and it's for employee engagement. It's by the people, for the people, of the people. 7 ideas. So the moment you join the organization, you're given an option of joining any one of these colors, which could be around productivity, branding, career enhancement, technology, building knowledge, just fun stuff, hobbies. So you get a choice of deciding how do you want to contribute to make the larger organization learn together, have fun together, and really just stay together. It's a very, very popular program. The leaders are invited to be part of it, and we are treated just like any other employee. Hierarchy doesn't play a role anyway in UST. Our former chairman, our first chairman, Mr. J.M. Menon, has this saying, and something we all live by is that we all have jobs. We don't have titles or designations. We all do jobs, and they're all different jobs, right? So my job might be different from your job, but that doesn't mean I'm a bigger person or a smaller person than you. So those are things that we hold very, very dear to our heart. So that essentially brings together what the work life culture is, right? People are not measured by the number of hours they put in, but what they put as output. We do not like to police people. We do not put policies and structures together to manage the 15% of the outliers that are there. We very firmly believe that, and put a lot of cadence into the education that people have got, the upbringing that they have, the life experiences that they bring to the table. And we believe that they are responsible enough to carry out the tasks assigned to them and to take UST together to a larger level. So empowerment is very, very strong within our ethos and our ecosystem.
Perfect. I mean, that is phenomenal, Kavita, in terms of going from a rented conference room in Trivandrum to a billion-dollar company in a relatively short span of time.
Yeah.
I think that clearly goes to show the other points you mentioned in terms of people who have a very entrepreneurial spirit. So I'm guessing for a lot of people listening in today, people who believe they have the can-do attitude, who don't need that extra push, and they are willing to do great things. It seems like UST Global is definitely the place for them to be looking at, which actually is a good segue into the second question, which is around diversity. There are so many people with such different backgrounds who I'm sure are very, very keen to join UST Global. And I think the question really is, how is UST Global helping people from diverse backgrounds to, get to know about UST, join the company, and also to perform really well in the organization?
Yeah. So, Deepak, diversity, inclusion, belonging are very, very core to UST, right? We don't specify and say our diversity agenda means this. For us, it's essentially three broad parameters. For us, it is diversity of mindset, of individuals, and of thought. So, we do look at the entire spectrum and say, what is it that we can really bring to the organization that will help us take UST to the next level, right? So even we looked at, if you look at our business leaders, they are across the globe. We have people from diverse locations. So for us, it's the best who can run our business. It really doesn't matter what their ethnic background is or their geographic background is or their cultural background is. As long as they're the right person to do the job, they're across the globe, and we all of us get together and we work. And the pandemic has only defined, removed the entire brick and mortar structure from our lives. We've been doing it for a while in the virtual context, even before the pandemic hit, because all of our leaders are virtual and remote, and they work together. When we talk about gender diversity, I think we have lots of programs that drive gender diversity. We ensure that women who go on maternity leave, when they come back, they're integrated well into the system. There's enough of support. As you know, Deepak, technologies are changing constantly. And 9 months is a huge break for someone to come back and realize that the technology they were experts in no longer exists. So we just help them ease their way back into the workforce, not by really giving them easier jobs, but by ensuring that they have enough of learning material and learning access available while they're away. So that it builds into the born to learn culture that we have within at USD, where we drive a lot of learning initiatives and support them from a perspective of saying that we will not mommy track you by giving you a simple job when you come back. We will give you a tough job, but we'll ensure that you're prepared to do that job even better than when you left. And everyone rallies around that person to make sure that they can contribute better. From an ethnic minority and veteran perspective, we have the Step It Up America program. It's now rolled out in a lot of the other countries as well. This is a program where we take people who do not have a technology background. We do a very significant training with them, and then they are placed with our clients in full-time jobs. So we focus on minority women, we look at ethnicity, we look at veterans and bring them in. And this is done in the US, it's done in Europe, it's done in UK, Australia. In India, it's done in a different format, but it's still there. So we do look at driving diversity from multiple spaces that are there, right? Whether it is hiring. So hiring across the levels, making sure that we bring women in, whether it is ensuring that when there are promotions and progressions, behavioral nudges fed into the managers just to make them conscious that, hey, you have these women on your team. Have you made sure that they're getting the right opportunity, visibility, promotions, so that they stay in the system and they go ahead? Women mentoring programs that are very specifically done for them to make sure that the kids are given visibility to the larger audience and senior leadership with a lot of roles. And all of these are along with their day jobs. So we really are making them stretch as well. It's not life given to them on a platter. They are asked to stretch as well. So they invest as much in themselves as we do in them. So those would be some of the diversity initiatives that we really do. So for us, diversity is all about gender, thought, ethnic diversity all coming together and just making sure that we support everything that's there. So for example, we support Pride in all of our countries, right? In fact, we were the first MNCs to hire transgenders in India. So all of these initiatives, while they might seem sporadic in nature, they actually do tie up to a larger cause of saying that how can we be diverse in thought? How can we be diverse in people that come and work with us? And how can really we be diverse in the mindsets of being accepting and inclusive and bringing in people with different thoughts? And so uh, we don't police and say that we only want people with a certain background or a certain thought to come and join us. We're very open to talking to a lot of people and bringing them in with diverse thoughts and ideas.
Perfect. I think when you said born to learn spirit, it really summarized the attitude of people today. Hopefully, a lot of people are already in this mode of learning, upskilling. So I think that should be very encouraging to a lot of people who genuinely believe that they have what it takes, and from diverse backgrounds, which then leads me to our next, question around the specifics of what UST Global is looking to hire. If you could, talk to us about the kind of broad, fields or even specific roles, so that people listening in can have an idea as to, what is UST Global looking to hire right now, and how they can proceed with that.
So, Deepak, we are a full stack technology company, to say that, right? So we
Yeah.
have everything in our place, right? From the services to products to platforms. So we are hiring everywhere, and we're hiring in the thousands. While there has been a lull in the beginning because of the pandemic, we are seeing an exponential growth in the kind of requests that are coming in from our clients and also the work that's coming in. So we really are looking for people everywhere. We are hiring both in the technology sector as well as in sales, business development, marketing, the other enabling factors. So if a career aspirant is really intent on becoming part of our organization, has the right attitude and the right skill sets, we'd be more than glad to bring them on board and help us transform more lives.
Perfect. And so, Kavita, just on that question, with a lot of companies offering work remotely options, do people now have to think of moving to certain locations, or is there a possibility for them to start working remotely from wherever locations they're working at?
So I think the pandemic has taught us quite a few things, right? One,
Yeah.
location is irrelevant. Second, it's your skill that really matters. You can't really hide under a group of people or behind your manager or your peers and say that, hey, I'm part of a great team, and hence even if I don't work, I will get along. Your individual skill is becoming very, very important. That said, there are two aspects to this. There are certain roles which will have to be done in the workplace, right? Because the clients require it that way. Those become like our ODCs. You cannot do it at another location. So once things settle down and we come back, we will bring back those roles. But roles like products and platforms and development, right, that can be done anywhere in the world. And we are more than happy to explore that as a remote function, even in a long term perspective. Today, about 95% of my workforce in India work from home. We have got all the security aspects done, the systems are delivered to them, they connect remotely and they are working. Whether we continue to keep all 95% there, no, we'll definitely bring a certain percentage back, but we are following it very, very conservatively and making sure for us the employees' health, well-being is of critical importance. So unless we're absolutely sure that it's okay for them to come back to the workplace, we will not invite them to do so. So today, we had people all across India really trying to work for us and working for us from their home. So you may be from Rajasthan and working in Trivandrum for a role, but today you would have gone back to your native place. Working, you may be working in Pune, but living your hometown might be in Calcutta, and you may have gone there. And people are working from these remote locations. So as long as you have a great internet connection and a laptop that works, I think we are good.
Perfect. So I think it's all the right things, and a lot of people would be already very excited after hearing all of this. Now, Kavita, there's also been a lot of talk about the growth within a company after they join a company. And I know that, like you mentioned, that UST is a company that's across a various plethora of industries, verticals. So I'm sure there must be an insane amount of growth opportunities. But if you would like to, just shed some light on, what can someone expect after joining? Is UST Global a company where they can spend the next 10 years, 15 years without having to worry about, if I have the skill set, can I keep growing in this great company?
That's always one of my most favorite questions to answer, Deepak, because we have so many brilliant examples to showcase, right? So you remember I spoke about that little conference room and
Yeah,
in Trivandrum.
Trivandrum. Yep.
Uh, So you can imagine the people who were there, right? There would have been
Yeah.
freshers, very raw engineers from colleges in Kerala. One of them is our COO today. Another one is our chief delivery officer. Another one
Wow.
is our chief value officer. Another one heads all of the centers across the globe. So that very quickly talks about the kind of opportunities that are available for growth. But that being said, we have something called Career Velocity at UST Global. It's our very own career management platform. So the moment someone joins the organization, they go in, they put in their resume, the system passes through the resume and picks up their top skills. They would then be able to evaluate and see where they stand as a ranking versus the top skills within the industry as well as where they stand within the organization. They will also be allowed to seek learning inputs so that they can upskill themselves and get better this. But one of the nicest features of this tool is that it allows you to go in and see what your future career would look like if you stayed in your current role. So, for
Oh,
example, if you joined as a junior software developer, it would say, hey, this is the routes that you can take. If you stay in this role, you'll become a software developer, then a
okay.
senior developer, and a project manager. That said, if you as an individual have an aspiration saying, I'm done with coding and I don't want to be a
Yeah.
software developer anymore, I want to move to products and platform. You decide the role that you want within products and platform, and the system will help chart your career and what are the steps that you need to take to move from that software developer role into a product and platform role. It will show you the kind of roles that you need to do. It will show you the kind of skilling interventions you need to undertake, the kind of certifications that you want to undertake. What it will also do is once you've done all the skilling and roles in place, it will add you to a pool so that the next time there is an opportunity that comes up that matches your requirement, you would be first in line to be considered and moved into that role. So that's the kind of openness that we have with our. It's almost like a marketplace of jobs where it's open
Yeah.
for both the managers as well as the employees to see what's available and decide. So they own their own careers, it's in their hands. We facilitate the movement and we support them with the right kind of learning infrastructure, the right kind of support. We have high performance coaches. So we have a set of 100 business leaders who play this role of being high performance coaches and having conversations with people, whether it could be in groups or one on one, to just understand how they could set their goals, how can they get feedback, what are the steps that they need to take to move to the next level. So all of that put together gives people a very interesting way of moving up the ladder. They can choose to stay in their own roles and grow organically, or shift across the various verticals and grow inorganically. But the call needs to be taken by them. We'll support it.
I think now suddenly the introduction is making a lot of sense in terms of all those big verticals, and I'm actually connecting dots in my head, from employee engagement to development to learning opportunities to career development. So I mean, I've never seen a company that has so many focused activities and divisions to help employees grow inside the company and not just grow to skill themselves. So, I mean, basis the last 20 minutes, it definitely seems like UST Global is like a phenomenal place for someone to get in and build a career for a long term. So,
Yeah, you
uh,
shouldn't just listen to us, Deepak. The awards also speak that way.
the awards. Okay, then maybe we should spend some time to talk about the awards if we can.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, so the great places to work,
Okay.
TEI, I think all of them validate the fact that we are a great place to work. But, a big shout out to all our listeners out there who are listening to me. Don't take my word for it. Don't
Yeah.
listen to the nice words Deepak is saying. Go check us out on Glassdoor. It's as raw as it comes, and you will get to hear about all the feedback that's there. We very strongly believe in feedback, and we like to listen to what our people say about us. And Glassdoor is a true representative of the ethos of UST Global and what it does stand for.
Perfect. I think that's a very nice cue for people to do more research about UST, be it on Glassdoor, be it on Indeed, be it on other platforms. But I think definitely very, very useful information in terms of what to expect. There are some questions that I would like to take up right now itself from the audience. There
Sure.
was one question in terms of is UST Global a product based or a service based company? And if you could talk about some of the large clients and companies who you're helping transform digitally.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't name the companies, but
Okay,
we are
sure.
working with a lot. So we work only with Fortune 500 and Fortune 1000 companies. We don't work with anyone else, and they're across the globe.
Okay.
We have a lot of spin-offs. So, for example, we have Cyberproof based out of Israel, which looks at cybersecurity. We have Healthproof. We have Blue Conch, which is into product and development based in Pune. So we have a multiple set of focused spin-offs as well as a group company that works on various platforms and what we can bring to the client. Our motto from a client perspective is fewer clients and lots of attention. So the way we grow our business right from day one is working with a select group of clients and have them spread the word. It's almost by word of mouth. And if you look at most of our clients, they've been with the organization for a minimum of 13 years, which is a huge validation of the kind of work that we do, the client intimacy that we are extremely proud of and we wear on our sleeve, and the fact that for us we are almost maniacal about that, right? So two things: client intimacy and employee experience. For us, those two things, and I'm glad they're just two because we have only two sleeves, but those are two things that all of us really appreciate and really look at for every aspect of our jobs, whether it's in the senior leadership, middle leadership, whether we're in a developer role, whether we're in an enabling function role. Going back to the first part of your question, whether we are a product or a service company, we are both. So we do have the hardcore technology stacks that are there where we do service oriented roles for large clients, but we also do a lot of work in the product and platform space.
Okay. So that's plenty of opportunity for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
So on that note, I also want to take a question from around women who have a career gap. So there's a question saying, I am an MBA finance graduate with 1 year of experience. Um, is there anything to look forward to from a finance perspective? I'm not very sure.
So I'll be honest here, Deepak, and the lady who's mentioned,
Yeah.
we do offer roles for women on a career gap. It's easier to do it in STEM roles because getting them into, and there
Yeah.
are more roles there to offer. While we do look at some of these opportunities that are there in the enabling functions, they are very few. So it's
Yeah.
not going to be something that's very easily available. But if there is an opportunity, we would definitely consider someone who's been on a career gap. That would not be a reason for us not to explore that conversation. For us, it's not the number of interviews that we do to identify a person for a role, it's the quality of that person. So either the person needs to know that role completely or convince us that they have that learning agility to pick up that role and be able to contribute to the organization. So for us, the intent of the individual is extremely important. So as a direct answer, yes, there are opportunities, but they'll be far in between depending on the kind of roles they'd want to apply for.
Perfect. Um, Kavita, I think there's also a lot of, anxiety from job seekers in terms of actually going through an interview process virtually. The comfort of going into an office or meeting someone face to face. You have the the ability to build a personal rapport with that person. And now it's just reduced to a laptop. You open it out and you're just hoping that
Right.
that 20 minutes that you have is make or break for you. um, just what are your thoughts on, is UST Global making any changes, or how does UST Global handle this virtual hiring when it's happening in this current lockdown, or partial lockdown that we're living in?
So, as I mentioned earlier, Deepak, it's not new to us. We have been doing
Yeah.
virtual interviews since the organization began because our leaders are across the globe and
Okay.
hence managers are across the globe. So, you would have to do that. But,
Okay.
I think what's important is looking at it from the aspirant's point of view. I think just because it's virtual, they shouldn't really take it, should not be casual. The
Yeah.
virtual footprint is so small for an aspirant, right? So just making sure that they are prepped well, they make sure that they're presentable, they do not they the ambient sound is not there, making sure
Yeah.
that they have a nice background behind them, they're clean shaven or well groomed. Those
Yeah.
things matter a lot, so what can you do to, because the interviewer is trying to hire you. The interview
Yeah.
is not, got a list of saying, I will interview 100 people and then select one. The interview will be very glad if he can interview one and hire that one person. For them, time is money. So, what is it
Absolutely.
that you can do as an aspirant to convince them that,
Yeah.
you're the one for the job? I think is very, very critical. So, I know that it gets a little unnerving when you do it on the laptop, but doing these things will just help you get comfortable because you're setting yourself up for that conversation rather than just expecting it to be a casual conversation over a virtual cup of coffee.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's maybe the key takeaway. You rightly summed it up in terms of they have to practice and prep a little harder, maybe. And I think that's the least that we can do in terms of taking the extra efforts of just making sure that that one conversation is such a great conversation that the person on the other side saying, okay, this is the person for us. Um, there are some questions around quality management in UST Global. One generally around, are there specific roles around quality management? Can a person switch from project management to project management certification to quality management? Is there anything you can talk about in terms of? I know it's broad in terms of quality management,
So
but in
yeah,
your
so
context,
Deepak, there are roles for sure.
okay,
As again, it might not be a large number of roles. There would be fewer roles, but there definitely would be roles available. Secondly, making the switch, the person would need to put their details into Career Velocity, put their aspirations, and try out for the job. But they're not going to really be. Coming from a quality management background is not going to hold them back from exploring an option in project management, right? So that definitely is going to be available to them as an option as long as all the other legal and gate conditions are met that have been laid down for that particular role.
perfect. Um, I know we briefly spoke about this, Kavita, but if there are like three things you would tell people listening in that they should keep in mind to really stand out and have an exceptional chance at getting through the process, what would you tell them? Like, what are the key things that people listening in should have in mind? Like you said, those two sleeves was a very nice way of saying these are the two key things. If I have to say, these are the three things that people should be thinking of, what would those be?
Okay, so I think the first one is have your elevator pitch ready. It's a very short time frame. The and this is for true for everybody, right? It's not just for UST.
Yeah.
Anyone that you're going to be having an interview with, you need to have an elevator pitch ready because it's the first minute or two that really convinces the other person whether
Yeah.
you're worthy of their time or not, and that whether they really want to indulge in that conversation and go deeper. So have an elevator pitch ready that showcases all the work that you have done. But when I say an elevator pitch, it should be an elevator pitch. It cannot be like some of the resumes
Yeah.
we receive, which goes into almost the
Yeah.
first chapter of a book,
Yeah.
right? So it has
Not
to
not
be an
the
elevator pitch.
not the Burj Khalifa elevator, which takes
Yeah,
2-3 minutes.
yeah. So an elevator pitch. The
Yeah.
second thing I think, which is most important, is to be authentic. When you're putting skills or you're putting things down on the resume, be true to it and stand by it. When someone is speaking to you on that, Being part of a project team does not mean that you have that skill. You need to be able to talk, walk that skill completely. So be authentic and stand by whatever you put down. Don't falsify data intentionally or unintentionally. Don't try and brag about what you can bring to the table. I think being authentic is very, very important. And I think third is, just so in UST we have this thing, right? We say that if you want success, you can go to any organization and work hard and you will get success. But at UST, you will get to move from success to significance, because you will be able, there will be enough of ability and opportunity for you to try out new things. And we are on the cusp of something big, right? So we are pre IPO right now, and everything is going to go boom in that sense, right? So more jobs, more roles, and all of that. So just see what are the logos that you're associating yourselves with and think about what you're bringing to the table. It's a give and take. As much as you expect the organization to work wonders for your career, you also need to put in enough thought into what are you doing for that organization and what are you doing to leave a mark, leave a legacy behind. So, those are the three things that really very quickly top of mind come to me.
Perfect. So I think for a lot of people listening in, it's about, what, I mean, that's been the bottom line always, right? I mean, what does an individual bring to the table that can contribute to the company first? And I think that's very important for, everyone to remember. Um, Kavita, there are also questions in terms of the internal motivation. And I know we spoke about this in a session yesterday about the company giving people the opportunity and the bandwidth and the space to actually follow through with some of these learning programs while also managing their daily work. So is there something you could share with us in terms of, while there is all of these employee engagement programs in place, learning programs in place, realistically speaking, how supportive is the management to tell someone, we know you want to do something different, we're going to empower you to both do your job really well and at the same time also learn new things?
So let me give you a quick example here, Deepak. When the pandemic started, one of the first learning programs that we rolled out was called 21 Days of Transformation. And we said for every single individual in the organization, we said, don't give us extra time. Don't give us time outside your schedule, but you would have been traveling into work. So what we have done is converted your travel time into learning time. So the amount of time that you would take to travel, these are the options available for you to upskill yourself and use that time to upskill yourself. And at the end of that upskilling, if you go through a technical assessment and you clear that, then you automatically become eligible to move into a higher order role. So, those are kind of the initiatives that run at UST, where we are very, very conscious that people want to do well in their careers. People want to do well at an organization, and we will support them. There will be a plethora of opportunities available. We have something called Infinity Labs, where employees can go and try out their own ideas. It's a safe space where they can go and present ideas. You have the senior leadership coming and talking to them, and a lot of those ideas are then taken on by UST, funded and spun off into small companies. So you can actually end up becoming the CEO of your own company if your idea is really good and you've done enough work behind it. But with
Okay.
specific to learning, there are a lot of our people who go in for, MBAs, or they go in to do specific programs around project management, agile, scrum certifications, or a lot of technical certifications. And we support them entirely, not just by funding those things, but also by giving them that leeway of saying, how is it that we can ensure that you don't miss your deadlines and work responsibilities, but how can we work around to ensure that you're able to achieve both, right? So something that we like to believe from our learning philosophy is that we enable our people to go after their dreams.
Perfect. I think that's very encouraging to hear that you can become the CEO of your own company if have a great idea, you put in the efforts behind that. We're also having a few questions, and I think you briefly spoke about it in terms of the non-technical side of hiring as well, in terms of sales and the other functions. I think we have a few people who are from the non-technical background. Could we speak a little bit more about that side of the business? What can people expect, be it in sales, be it in marketing, be it in other enabling functions like you were talking about briefly, earlier in the conversation?
So, Deepak, those roles would be twofold again. One would be for UST itself, right? So, whether it's hiring for the marketing team or the HR team or the finance team internally, we would definitely look at, because as the organization grows and the number of employees grow, you would also need the enabling functions to grow to support those kind of initiatives. but it's also a consulting kind of role where you're hiring for a client to do that kind of work. So depending on what is available at that point in time, we would be hiring in both these spaces. But predominantly, I see a lot of hiring happening in the business development, marketing, and HR side of things.
Perfect. And I think we have a few people from the HR industry as well on this call. And I think with all of the hiring that UST Global is doing, there might be a requirement for more people to join the HR TA team. So, question around, are you growing your team as well? Are you growing the HR TA teams, the learning teams? Is there an opportunity
Yeah, we are
for?
in a constant. No, no, absolutely. We For us, the talent's important. If the right person comes along, we'd more than be happy to explore and see how we can bring them on board. As I said, for us, location is irrelevant. We just need to make sure that the person who comes on board, it's not about just getting a job. It's about sustaining that job, playing to their strengths, and making sure that UST and they are a nice fit for each other. It should be like a pair of gloves. They should really just fit together. And if someone is in sync with our ethos, with our purpose, our values, then would be more than glad to have those conversations and see whether they have a fit with us.
Perfect. So I think it's really about taking the efforts to think about how they're going to contribute at USC Global, as opposed to just, okay, I've landed a job and now
Yeah.
it's done and the company will take care of it. And I think that's increasingly what a lot of leaders are looking for in individuals is, people who can set their own path, people who can think innovatively, think out of the box, especially in times like these. And somewhere related to this, there's also a question around, and I really like this question. For me, it's very important. The big battle between EQ and IQ, or is there no battle, or is this you need a bit of both. It's like salt and pepper. You can't live without each of them. So, what is your take on this? How important is EQ? How important is IQ? How does UST Global look at these two slightly different things?
So I think the top three skills, right, really for the future, especially given the pandemic, is one is dealing with ambiguity. The
Yeah,
second is, of course, this entire flexibility, adaptability, the ability to just be agile and learn, relearn, unlearn all the time. And the third is emotional intelligence. It's important for us to retain our humanness in a extent in the quest of going completely virtual and speaking only to a machine. I think that's something that's very, very critical. So, to give you an example again, when the pandemic started out, one of the first programs that we rolled out within UST was a set of training programs for all of our managers, and we called it DigiB, which is digital behaviors, where we actually trained them on how is it that they could do the jobs that they were doing within brick and mortar structure. How could they do that virtually? Setting of goals, giving feedbacks, having team meetings. We set up virtual coffee sessions for people to come back and talk. We had fun sessions happening. We had almost like a telethon. We had each one reach one, kind of, we're in it together is what we called it, where every employee had to call up one random USD person just to check in and see how they were doing and is all is well, and just have a informal chat of sorts. I think those are very, very critical for us to understand and stay connected with each other. So for us, remote is not being distant and unapproachable. It is just a way of working in a different environment. Deepak, you're on mute.
sorry about that.
No
I
worries.
forgot. Um, so, Kavita, I just want to maybe pause to also just reflect about your experience at UST Global. I think that's also very important for people to, hear from someone who's been at the forefront of this organization in terms of leading hiring. If you could just share like your personal experience at UST Global, I think that would be a big inspiration for people listening in to hear directly from a leader on how it's helped, how you're enjoying your work at UST Global as well.
Yeah. So I think I should start off, Deepak, with telling you how I was hired for UST Global.
Yeah,
I was giving a keynote at one of the numerous HR conferences when we used to do it live and in person in the good old days. And
yeah,
that's when the CEO of the company met with me and we spoke. And that's when so it wasn't a role that went out to a headhunter and then resume
Yeah.
sourced and invited. It was just an informal chat, and I was then spoken to about the organization. At that time, to be honest, I wasn't sure of what UST or where UST was, but as I started doing my research, I realized that it was a very, very well kept secret. UST has managed to change the way people live and the kind of respect that it has within the tech fraternity and with the people that have worked within UST, whether they're still with the organization or they have left the organization. There's a tremendous amount of fondness and, more importantly, pride for what they bring to the table. And I think those things are very difficult to come by. You don't get those easily. For everyone at UST, it's not a job, it's a purpose. And everyone believes in that wholeheartedly, whether it's the junior most fresher or the senior most person who's our CEO, anyone. All of us believe that, we are here for a purpose, and that's transforming lives. And what can we do to make that difference? I think that's what helped me make the decision to move. It also meant that there would be certain decisions that would be taken that might not make sense from a financial perspective, but from our purpose perspective makes a lot of sense. And I think that's what helped me transition into this kind of a role and with this organization. And I haven't been disappointed. Every day is a different experience, whether it's people reaching out to you. So during the pandemic, we sent out, letters to all of our ex-employees, no matter how long they left us or how short their tenure was, just checking in whether they were okay. And the kind of feedback we got from them was outstanding. I mean, they came back to us saying that, hey, our current organization hasn't checked how we are, but you have done that. We went out of our way to make sure that all of our support staff is taken care of, whether it's from a medical perspective, insurance, made sure that, the monthly rations are provided to them over and above their salary, because a lot of them are, two-member families and living away from their homes. A lot of them do daily wage jobs while one might be working within UST campus. So we just wanted to make sure that they were well taken care of. Distributed a lot of systems, laptops, computers, tablets that we had to a lot of children in Kerala, just so that they could access their learning piece. So when you listen to all of this, you want to be part of an organization that cares so much, not just for the employees and for the clients, but for a much larger group of people that encompasses the whole world, literally.
Perfect. I think that kind of ties into the last question I have in terms of the core values. I think you spoke about it very nicely in terms of the actual examples. It's great to hear that, you're helping people in Trivandrum with handing over things that can be used for
Oh,
learning.
it's not just
Uh,
Trivandrum, it's across the globe. So
oh,
wherever
oh,
we could, we can.
fantastic. So Kavita, if you have to just summarize in terms of, the core values of the company, um, what would those core values of the company be?
So for us, the core values are very simple: humility, humanity, and integrity. Every action that we do, every project that we run, every client that we take on is with this core value in mind. So whatever we do, and I think it's that humility that's brought us this far, and that will take us to the next level as well. We are on the cusp of a huge transformation. The market is booming in that sense. We are going to be getting a lot of work. There are going to be thousands of roles that are going to be available in the market. So if the aspirants out there would like to be part of this transformational journey and be part of an organization that cares not just for you, but for the larger good of the society, then UST is the place to come and work.
Perfect. I think that was great. We have 45 minutes of, being able to pick your brains on various different topics. So thank you again sincerely for taking the time to join us. To everyone listening in, the links to where you can apply to jobs are on the comment section. It's also on the landing page where you registered. So, feel free to go there and follow up. And thank you everyone for joining, and thank you especially to you, Kavita, for taking the time out and joining
Pleasure.
us today. Pleasure talking to you, and we can't wait to see all the great things that are coming out of UST Global in the months and years ahead.
Thank you, Deepak. It's been a pleasure being here. Thank you for having me. All the best, everyone, and looking forward to hearing from you in the roles that we have published on the link, and to check out the careers page even later. I'm sure there'll be something interesting that will come your way. So just remember, be authentic, keep your elevator pitch ready, and if you're the right person with the right intent, then we'll be more than glad to have you aboard for the journey.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kavita.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.